In February 2013, a 21-year-old Canadian student was found dead in the water tank of the infamous Cecil Hotel in Skid Row, Los Angeles. In the 5 years since, her death has become one of the most infamous modern unsolved mysteries of our time, with theories ranging from a murder to biblical rituals being used to explain this bizarre and above all terrifying death. All that remains of Elisa is probably one of the most creepy, unexplained pieces of CCTV footage ever recorded, and with every theory surrounding her death flawed from the ground up in some respect, it becomes very difficult to determine what actually happened to this bright young woman on that fateful night. Today, we're going to be reviewing the facts, evidence, and the theories to ask what did happen to Elisa Lam. Was she experiencing a psychotic episode, resulting in a tragic freak accident, or was there foul play involved, from either humans or indeed the paranormal? Whatever happened to this poor woman is at the very least tragic, so get ready and prepare yourselves as we begin to explore this terrifying unsolved mystery. As usual, viewer discretion is strongly advised, as this will be both disturbing, scary, and unsettling. This is the Death of Elisa Lam, one of the biggest unsolved urban mysteries of the 21st century. In February 2013, a woman who was visiting Los Angeles was found dead in the rooftop water tank of the Cecil Hotel, a hotel rife in colourful history. The woman was identified to be Elisa Lam, and her death was ruled as accidental due to drowning. However, as soon as she was taken for analysis, questions started to be asked about her death. On further investigation, it seemed Elisa had been missing for 2 weeks, and this was evident given the nature of her decomposing body, which was only discovered after residents at the hotel began complaining about the taste of the water and its colour. Quite revolting to think they had all been drinking fluids containing a decomposing woman for 2 weeks. Her autopsy concluded that there were no drugs or alcohol found in her system, and her death was ruled an accident. But the question remained, how on earth did Elisa manage to gain access to the supposedly locked and alarmed rooftop? And furthermore, how did she manage to get inside the water tank? The opening was less than 1.5 feet, and it seemed highly improbable that she would have been able to lift the heavy lid of this 10-foot tank all by herself. Even if she could, what was she doing up there? Nothing was adding up, and so police and the hotel staff began investigating the death, and almost immediately a horrendously unsettling piece of CCTV footage was found on the night she supposedly died. This footage has become one of the most famous pieces of unexplained footage over the last 5 years, and has become absolute gold dust for internet videos and theories. And all it ended up doing was adding more to complexity to this already inexplicable mystery. In the short surveillance clip recovered, Elisa Lam appears to be behaving erratically. She looks extremely stressed and confused. She walks into the elevator, where the camera is located, and presses all the buttons. The elevator seems to stop working, and as she waits for the doors to close, she moves towards the corner of the lift, as if she's hiding from something or someone. She peers out the door and looks both ways very quickly, as if she's looking out for someone. She then begins sidestepping around strangely and appears to be quite agitated. She walks around with her hands on her head and presses all the buttons again. Then, as she leaves the elevator, the creepiest part of the tape begins. She turns to her right and begins moving her hands extremely strangely while leaning over. It almost seems as if she is talking to somebody, but seems to be confused and somewhat almost inebriated. She stands still and walks away. At this point, there seems to be a cut in the tape, and when it resumes, the elevator begins working again. This was the last that was seen of her before she seemed to gain access to the rooftop tank, where she was alleged to have climbed 10 feet up and drowned. Of course, this behaviour seems explicable by reasons of drugs. It almost seems as if she's having a trip or a bad reaction to some banned substances. However, the coroner ruled that there were no drugs or alcohol in her system, so why she was behaving erratically remains a mystery. Why the elevator stopped working is also somewhat of a mystery, and why there was allegedly 1 minute cut from the original recording that has been released is another mystery that could potentially suggest foul play. Nonetheless, this terrifying piece of footage was incredibly out of character for the poor girl and is still unexplained today. Of course, as soon as her death hit the internet, it exploded into the web's hot topic mystery. What happened to Elisa Lam? Why was she behaving in such a way? The details of her death were analysed again and again, and as a result there have been several theories, ranging from that she was murdered all the way to the Illuminati, and that there could have been supernatural forces at work. The first theories emerged because it is apparent from the CCTV clip that she is running and hiding for someone. This prompted the theory that she was murdered, and that she was fleeing from her eventual assassin or assassins. Skid Row is an incredibly famous, renowned and unpleasant area of LA, and the Cecil Hotel in particular has had a history of crime, murder and suicide, including the infamous unsolved case of the Black Dahlia, a woman named Elizabeth Short who was last seen meeting someone at the hotel and was later found cut in half and drained of blood. Murder theories spread quickly, and the hotel staff came under scrutiny too. If Elisa was murdered by staff, it would make sense that she was dumped in an area only accessible to staff. Some speculated that more than one person may have used the access to the rooftop to dump Elisa inside. However, there were no signs of injury or assault on her body, which is even more terrifying, considering if the murder theory is true, she was most likely dumped in the tank alive. Upon digging further into her background, the theory that she was assassinated was explored again, but this time from a much higher authority. Many had asked why such a young, vulnerable woman was staying in such a rough hotel where there were far safer, cheaper options elsewhere, until they started to make links between her social media activity and the Cecil Hotel. If you look on Google Maps, you will see that a company by the name of the Invisible Light Agency is registered to that location. On Elisa's social media, she had been posting articles about undercover schemes by the US government to create cloaking devices. While this story seems far-fetched, it seemed as if she was genuinely investigating something of the sort. Several fake accounts under her persona were found, including one Facebook account named Alarm Elisa, whose only friend was someone working for the US government. Some speculated Elisa was investigating the Invisible Light Agency at its source and was either drugged and or then murdered for knowing too much about a government project. Other theorists began to speculate, saying this may have been a tragic accident due to mental health. The other theories do not explain her erratic behaviour in the CCTV footage. However, Elisa has been known to be writing a blog about her ongoing struggle with bipolar disorder, and she was confirmed to be taking medicine which is known, in rare cases, to cause psychosis. Could this have been why she was acting so strangely? It still doesn't explain the water tank scenario, but would explain the unseen entity she appeared to be running from. Others theorised of more chilling explanations behind the unseen entity, with many believing that she had been possessed by some sort of demon or spirit. Some are convinced they know the buttons Elisa was pressing, and they all correspond to Bible verses about water, and subsequently she gained access to the water tank, attempting to rid herself of the demon. Others believe the elevator had more to do with it than it was given credit for, with Elisa Lam playing the elevator ritual, regarded by many to be one of the most dangerous paranormal rituals ever, though this has been debunked on camera to not work in the past and seems to be an urban legend. One final thing to note is the horrifying similarities between this case and a film named Dark Water, which is a Japanese horror film released prior to Elisa's death. In this film, the two main characters are named Delia and Cecilia, with Delia bearing a worrying resemblance to the Black Dahlia murder and Cecilia corresponding to the Cecil Hotel. A young girl drowns in the water tank of the hotel in the story, and guests find the body in the same way. At the end of the film, the elevator malfunctions, revealing the ghost of Delia, and these terrifying resemblances have led some to believe that Elisa Lam was genuinely being possessed and eventually killed by the ghost of Elizabeth Short. Such a strange, unsolved case has left loads of theories, but determining which one is the correct one is a mystery in itself. We could sit here for hours and talk about the theories and why they each hold validity. However, today I am just going to pose to you what I genuinely believed happened on that fateful night 5 years ago. My belief is a combination of the murder theories, either by hotel workers or guests. Experts have been said to have examined the CCTV footage, and it looks as if Elisa is playing some kind of game or is indeed being pursued by someone. If she was murdered by hotel workers, then it sheds light on the water tank mystery. They disabled the alarms atop the roof, and multiple people opened the tank and threw her in. The only chilling detail here is the fact she was not assaulted in any way, so if she was thrown in, it's likely she would have been thrown in alive and left to drown. Alternatively, her dead body could have been dumped in there in an attempt to hide it from someone or by multiple people that had access to the roof. Then you need to look at the conspiracy theories to explain why. I personally believe she was indeed killed by intelligence personnel or contract killers who may have been working with the hotel staff. The fact she was staying in the Cecil Hotel was a mystery. It was literally one of the worst, most unsafe places she could have stayed, and it wouldn't have been that good value either. Based on her social media involvement and activity surrounding the government conspiracies to cloaking devices, I think the only thing that could have attracted her to the Cecil Hotel is the Invisible Light Agency, a company that is alleged to have links to the government. A contract killing or intelligence killing would also explain why the horrendously creepy security tape was tampered with before release. Could the missing minute that was cut from the tape have shed some clarity on the case? Was her attacker or attackers on the video at some point? The only thing this leaves unexplained is the mystery of why she was behaving so strangely in the elevator. However, I do have a few ideas on this too. If she was being assassinated, I doubt her killers would have out and out burst in when Elisa would already have been watching her back on account of investigating foul play by the government. Whoever it was, regardless of whether it was assassins or staff, may have accidentally made their presence known via footsteps, noises, or even more direct methods such as intimidation, which is a tactic used by secret services in a last-ditch attempt before an assassination. US services have been known to do anything from move furniture around to calling the individual with threatening voicemails. Whatever the case, anything that made Elisa aware that she was in danger could have caused her to have some psychotic break due to stress. As previously stated, she had some irregular mental health conditions, as something to note is that she seemed to lose her mobile phone prior to her death. If she was stressed or felt threatened, the fact she couldn't talk to anyone might have caused her to become even more unbalanced. There's also the idea that she could have been drugged prior to her death. I know the autopsy said nothing was found in her system, however bear in mind that she died from drowning and likely swallowed a lot of water, not to mention the fact that she was in there for 2 weeks. I find it hard to believe traces of any substances wouldn't have been washed away in those 14 days, especially given her body was decomposing. Either a psychotic break or drugging explains the erratic behaviour, and as for the mysterious circumstances surrounding her death on the roof, well, I definitely think a third party would have been required to gain access to the roof without tripping the alarm and indeed open the water tank. While any time a government assassination is mentioned it does seem far-fetched, this is a possible motive and makes sense given her investigation into cloaking devices, and I think correlations all over the place with her location and social media links shed some light on why she may have been murdered. Regardless, I am confident that on that tragic night Elisa Lam was indeed murdered, as subsequently the truth will never be revealed. All that will remain is an eerie recording, speculation and a terrifying background story to what happened to Elisa Lam on the night that she was murdered. It's just a shame considering her parents may never have any closure. I thank you very much for watching and I hope you did enjoy the video. If you did, please help it out by giving it a thumbs up, and if you're new around here, if you could consider subscribing and checking out some of my other work, then it would really help me out. Thanks a lot guys, I'll see you all soon.